Hey everyone, and merry meet. In this video, I am going to be showing you how to make this beautiful, lovely, charmed book of shadows. It's a 9 by 12 book, and I love making these books. I sell these books, and I've been making them a long time. Have learned different ways of doing it along the way. And I'm going to show you some of the easiest ways that I have learned to make one of these old world style antique books. So let's get on into the video. Okay, so here are some of the items that you're going to need to make your own Book of Shadows at home with that old world look. So first up, you're definitely going to want to have some of this. It can be any size. I particularly at this time right now have the 12 by 12 inch. It's board. It's made for making books, so it's pretty thick. It's bookmaking boards. And I don't know why it's so torn up, but that's the name of it. And then, of course, that's the SKU and what it says. I think I may have gotten these on Amazon. And then also, how I like to make my books is I like to use parchment paper. This is from the Southworth. So you'll need this parchment paper. 500 pages, because this book is going to be a 9 by 12 with 500 pages. Now, you can use linen sheets. You can use other parchment style papers. They do have a bunch of different ones with different colors. You can use regular paper, just whatever you want to use. This is just particularly what I want. So also what you will need is a paper cutter, or a hole puncher, rather. So you'll want this hole puncher so that, and this one I think can do about 30 sheets, maybe 40 at the same time. So you just put the paper in and just push it all the way down, and then you got your hole punches. So you'll want to have your hole punches, because the next thing that you'll want to need are these. Now I'm using 4 inches. This is going to be a quite large, thick book. So these are 4-inch Chicago binding screws. They're aluminum, and then they have these little these screws that come off on and off. So what I find that's beneficial with these is if you decide you want to take some pages out, or if you want to add more pages, or if you messed up on a page and you want to remove it, you could easily just take this, unscrew this with a screw, or it can also work with your hands. But once you've got it in the book, it's going to be easier with doing it with a screwdriver. So there's that you'll need. Also, some yarn for your bookmarks. Now, I have 3 different types of glue, because each one comes in handy in different ways. And I will show you those different ways once we get going with the book making. So I use this. This is a really good for book binding and for, other paper projects. It's the PVA glue. I use that mainly to glue down the fabric that I'm going to use. This is the fabric that I'm going to use for this book. You can use probably any type of fabric you want, leather, maybe cloth. This is like a pleather type of material, which I find works really well too. And so the quick grip works really well with this. It creates this really cool old world design on the sides. So that is what I use for that. And then let's see what else is there. That's really about it. So we're going to go ahead and, sorry, it's shaky. We're going to go ahead and get started with making this old world style book. So I hope you guys enjoy and stick around. Okay, so now that I've cleared off my workspace, I am about to begin. I have gone ahead and cut my little pleather leather here into a larger size, of course, so you have more room to work with, just in case you would rather have more than less. Kind of like when you cut your hair, you want to cut a little bit at a time, just to be sure. And I've also remembered that you need scissors. Of course, you would need scissors, but yeah. So what I'm going to do with this is I am going to glue these down, butt up to the edges with the PVA glue that I showed you earlier. So basically that's the first step, is just gluing these down to whatever fabric or materials that you're going to use. Also, I meant to mention, you're going to need a roller. You could probably, if you didn't want to have a roller, you could do it without one. It makes a little squeaky sound because I've used it so long. It's got dried glue, but it works really well to make sure that you get this really flat and smooth. One other thing I meant to mention that you'll need is a pencil so that you can measure the size that you're going to do. So you'll need a tape measure as well so that you can measure what size you want to make your book. So of course, yeah, you'll need the measurer, you'll need a ruler, and a pencil. Okay, and for this next part, you're going to want to line this up just perfect. So it's, you know, in line with, because these are going to go, and I'll show you, they're going to go on the other side, flapped over with leather that's going to hold it more together. So I'll just put them in there and then just line them up evenly, like so. So that's like kind of forming the book there. And then, so I'll go ahead and remove those. Before I glue this down, I just wanted to show you that's going to be the next step. And then basically you can just take a sheet of paper or anything. This is only just to hold the form for a moment. Just kind of like to build a base so that you can then start working on everything else that's going to bring this book together and intact pretty well. So basically I just take this. I'm going to use the same bookbinding glue, the PVA, and then I'll just basically glue this part down and let that sit, and then I'll fold this over, glue that down, and then let that sit. Okay, so what I went ahead and did was I placed 3 sheets of 8.5 by 11 and glued those down to hold the book together, just to give it kind of a frame. Well, it's still drying, but yeah, so 1 in the center and 2 on the sides, like here and here. Glue it down, let this sit for a while, and then we'll move on. Okay, so we are at the next day. This has been drying overnight, so I am ready for the next stage. So what I'm going to do is just slowly fold this and take it and just fold it over here, and then pull this part out here. And now we've got where we can work on. Basically, you would just take some of your hemp. You could use different sizes. You could probably use something different, but this is what I like to do. So what I'll basically do is I like to put 5 of these on, and I'll take a ruler, and I'm only not doing this part just to save time in the video. So it's not so long. So I'll do like 5. So I'll be like, you know, measure it out and then have like 1, 2, and 3, and then 1 in the center and 1 in the center there. So yeah, that's that. You just measure them out the size that you want them. It's hard to do it one-handed, but yeah, you just measure it, cut it off just at the right size. Maybe, you know, just say that's the size, put it to the side, measure it, make you 5 up, or you can make more. You could have them going down all the way. You could have however many you want. You could just do 3. Or you might just want 1. Or you may not even want to do it at all. So you could obviously just skip this step and then move on to the next part that I'll be talking about after this part's done. Okay, so I've gone ahead and used my measurer and measured this out. I've got these 3 lines 3 inches apart, and then these are 1 inch from the top. Not the perfect lines, but it'll all come together. You know, just wait and see. And so basically, I think that the best glue for this is the super glue because it holds really quickly. Now, you're going to get it on your fingers. You know how horrible it is with super glue. When it gets on your fingers, it seems like it stays there for like ever. But you can also use the quick grip. That's easier to get off your fingers. I'm going to glue those down. And I'll show you maybe one of them that I'm going to glue down, maybe the center one. And then we'll go from there. Okay, hopefully everyone can see me. So I've already cut up my hemp to put as the binding area, the binding back area. And so I'm just going to use some super glue. Now this is a little bit messy, so I'm just going to do one just to kind of show you. So you just take your super glue, obviously, just try to follow the line that you did. I am horrible with straight lines. So just draw your straight line, make it thick. Thick is good, thick is fine. And then the part where you have to be really careful because it'll start sticking to your fingers. Just kind of scoot it in there a little bit. You do have to kind of put your fingers in it and kind of move it around and straighten it flat. Okay, and you know, what I like about making these kinds of books is that each one is handmade. You know, I personally make these myself and sell them. I have for a while, many years. And each one always comes out different. And the little added textures with how the rope comes out just kind of adds its own unique look to it. So once you've got that in place, then I always like to go back across it with the super glue on top, just straight on top, and then around the edges, just to kind of seal it, really seal it in. And while you're doing that, you can also be putting in your intentions. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm going to take this and just push down. And push down, push down. And this just kind of reinforces it to stay in place. I want to get those other 4 done, and then we will move to the next step. So now that I have all of these glued into place, I'm going to use my ribbons. Now you want to decide what's going to be the front, which one's going to be the back. I'm going to put the ribbons right going through here. So I've got 3. I'm going to be using red, black, and purple. Of course, you can use any sizes or any colors or sizes that you want. This one is 5/8 of an inch, 15 millimeter. You can get them at Walmart, probably on Amazon. All of these are the same sizes. And I'm going to put these. So basically, you'll just open this up. And I did find a way that you can get off the super glue. I forgot. You can use nail polish remover and like goof off, or even hot, warm, soapy water or lotion. So you're going to figure out how much you want. Make sure that when you glue this down, you want to make sure it's on this side. So you'll glue those down here, however many you want. I'm going to put 3 in this one. And just glue them down real well. And then make sure, you even it out. Make sure you give yourself more than enough room. Kind of that same philosophy is don't cut off too much. You can always cut more if you need it. Give yourself plenty of ribbon when you do this. I've got, looks like this whole row is going to be for this one. So yeah, I'll glue it. It'll go all the way down. It's going to be very long. And so then I can trim it up. And so I'll do that in the black and the red, and then you'll see what's next. So I also wanted to mention that the glue that I like to use for the ribbons is this quick grip, because it grips on there really well and holds tight. And it's also not as messy as the super glue. As you can see, the super glue really held these in quite well. They've been sitting for a few hours. And I'll have to tell you, this is a progress thing. This isn't like something you're going to get done in a day. I mean, you could if you wanted to rush it, but I like to take my time. I'm going to go ahead and glue these down with the quick grip. This is the good stuff. I like it really well because it's all-purpose contact cement, and it grabs quick, and it really, really does. And it's permanent, and it works really well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that part, and then I'll show you what's next. Okay, so we are at the next stage. I've got my ribbons. They're attached at the top. And what I'm going to do now is this extra piece that we've cut. So you're going to have multiple pieces that you're going to be trimming down. So basically what I'll do with this is I won't line it up here because you will have to have this folded over when we do flip the book over and start working on the inside. So what we'll do is we'll basically just even this out. So, yeah, I mean, I give myself plenty of room because sometimes you can mess up, you know. Like I've been saying all this time, it's better to have more than less to work with. So you're just going to basically, you're not going to glue any of this part down. You're not going to glue anything down, except basically you'll just, if you want, just make this even. Fold it over like this. And you're going to start at the top. So the glue I like to use on this is Quick Grip, because it grips really, really well. And you can hold it down after 3 or 4 minutes. You can let go. The roller comes really in handy for this. I've showed you the roller. So what I'll basically do is I'll put glue here, lay it down flat, roll it, and it'll hold. And then you'll be just basically fold it up like this once that's in. And then you're going to want to work it into this. So, you know, you'll feel it when you're working with it. Like, let's see. I'm not going to glue anything just yet, but like when you start working with it, you'll start seeing it. Can you see? Maybe I'll work down here. See if I can see how the binding starts coming up. It's not going to really show it right now because it's ain't got nothing to hold it on to. But yeah, you just work your way down each way as you go. So I'll go ahead and I'll start with this one and show you the first step. So yeah, just a little bit of glue in here. And see, like really reinforcing these bookmarks in here too to make sure everything is nice and held in. So we'll just do that, set this to the side. And then, so I've got plenty of room on each side because, you know, we're going to be trimming this down. So just going to fold this over and just push this down. And then, you know, I'll take my roller and I'll roll across this. This will dry. So I have now got this glued and started making these pop out. So yeah, it's going to take some time. Just as I said, to see how it's starting to stick now, and I haven't started here yet, but you'll see how it starts to form. And like with this roller, you can just roll it across and up. Sorry, it squeaks. Need to get something to, and then you can also use your nails. You can also use super glue too. That would stick really well too. I just like the Quick Grip. So now that I have started here, I'm just going to work my way down doing the same exact thing. I'll show you again what I'll do. Just go ahead and lift this up. And then we're going to put some glue going here. Can you see out? And then just bring it down. And you can just be generous, you know, or not generous. You can use as much glue as you want. It doesn't matter. All right. I mean, it does matter to a certain extent, obviously. You don't want to use too much. But then, we'll just do like this. Wait, let me make sure I've got enough up here. Because you want to make it thick around this part so that it sticks really well. There we go. So we've started here. We've got that part. And we're going to keep working our way down. Okay, so while it's been sitting for a couple of days, curing, the next step is going to be basically you're just going to measure the inside flat part. See how we've got the outside flat part we'll leave alone. So this is the part that's connected to the book, the front of the book. If I can show you. So yeah, the front part here. So what you'll do, you know, you see where it's, if I can get this in frame, you'll see there how I've cut it to match even, and then you'll want to cut the corners, because what you're basically going to be doing is taking this and gluing this down really well. I like to use the Quick Grip that you see on the screen, and then once you get that glued down tight, you can also take your roller, you know, to roll it down to make sure it stays nice and flat, glued down tight, and then you'll fold this over, which will create kind of this triangle look. Yeah, So that is the next step. So once you've got it, you know, cut the way you want it, how big of a flap you want it to go over, then you'll start gluing it down. So yeah, just use the quick grip. I just like to put it along the edge, and then I'll just fold it down and hold it and hold it. I'm not going to show that part, it's be a little strenuous long, but you get the idea. You just trim it down, fold it up, glue all the way around, just this front part. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down, and then we'll move to the next step. All right, so we are back, and I have got these all glued down on that side and this side. And so now we're going to flip it over. And I've already cut these down because, you know, this video is probably already going to be so long. But basically, you know, you just measure it out however long you want this to come out. Measure it. Take your pencil. Take some trusty scissors. Cut it. And then you're at this point. And then I've also cut off the top part and then cut this flap because these are going to fold, you know, under here. And then that's going to start bringing the book together. So to do that part, I'll just first pull this back, glue. For this, I believe I also use the quick grip, but you could also use the PVA glue, which is probably what I'll use, the PVA glue. And then just push this down, hold it, roll it. And a lot of times after it's done, sometimes you may have to go in and just put a little bit of super glue along the edge, real light. And then, you know, push it down so it holds real tight so that, you know, it don't come up right there. And do the same thing on this side. Once that's down, flip it back over. And then you'll be just gluing this part. Well, actually, first, yeah, after you glue this down and this down and the outside, leave these flaps up. This flap, this flap, this flap, and this flap. So you'll go ahead and glue this part. Go ahead and, can you see that part? Yeah. So you'll glue this down. The ribbons stick them out. This is why it's, like I said earlier, it's always a good idea to make them longer, because it's going to take up some space to help keep them intact. So yeah, just glue that part down. That holds those there. And then we'll glue in our end leaf papers, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So first, let's focus on, go ahead and gluing this down, this flap down, and then let it sit. Now that we have gone ahead and glued this down, this has set overnight. It's all glued down. I'm going to flip this over. And now the pieces that we've cut to match, we're just going to fold these up like this and just glue that down. Fold this part up, glue that down, and this one, you can barely see it, I guess, but you get the idea. You're just gonna fold it up, glue it with your quick grip. The same for the top, fold those down, and then, you know, just make sure you see that part? Yeah, just make sure those are flat, because you're gonna push it down like this. And as you can see, the book is slowly becoming a book. For this next part, you basically want to have just some strips, and you're going to basically create this triangular design on the edge. So I started gluing it down and forgot to get started on the video. So yeah, just glue it down and then take one of these strips, line it up, and then it'll look like this. And you can always take your ruler. I always like to do that and roll it out. So yeah, you'll just want to measure it with a measurer, draw you a line. Okay, so now we are at the part where we are gluing down these flaps so that it will come together on the front, and they've already been trimmed down. And so you'll just want one that's more square and then one that's got more of a triangle. And I've already glued one down, and then I'll flap this one and glue this one over. And then we'll do this and work that around the entire book. And I've been using the quick grip, which works wonders for this, and the roller. So yeah, that's it for now, and be back with the next steps. So we are back. This is the next day, and this is the next step. Several steps here, I know. Just keep following, and I'm sure you will make an excellent book. So this next step is in leaf paper. The book I'm specifically making right now is a charmed-based book. So this is in leaf paper that you can print off just right from the web for free that someone shared. You can also purchase it from, there's some websites that actually sell like rolls of in-leaf paper, but this is also another option. So I'll put the link to that in the description. So if you want to go and use this particular type of in-leaf paper, which is like the charm book, or if you want to just do a search for in-leaf paper for books, I'm sure you could find all kinds. Also, another keyword for with this particular type of in-leaf paper is marbled in-leaf paper. And you can also even make your own with marbling, but that's a whole nother topic and story. Or we'll say a whole nother video. But for now, let's just get back on track here. So what I'll be doing is I'll just use like a little brush here, and then I'll use my PVA glue. I like this the best for this particular thing because, you know, when you work with the quick grip, you're going to notice that it's, you know, it grips really well, and it holds everything in place, but it's not good as far as like trying to smear it. So this is like kind of like a very upgraded type of, you know, like a professional quality Elmer's glue, I guess you could say, but it's definitely, you know, like, I think this was like $12 or $13 for this size. But it lasts a really long time. So what I'll basically do is just pour some of this on here, spread it out, place this evenly on, you know, line it up the way you want to line it up. And then I'll just take my trusty little roller and roll it all out so that everything is smooth and ready to go. And so, yeah, I'm going to work on that. That's going to sit for a while. Then we'll focus on this center part that's going to go here in the center and create the binding part that'll come up where we can put the screws and the paper, and then the book will be pretty much complete, minus any front designs that you want to do. So yeah, I'm going to glue these down. While these are drying, I will use my hole puncher that I showed you at the beginning of the video. Hole punch all my paper. And also, make sure, I don't think I said this, but you'll want to do 4 of these. 2 to glue down, and then you're going to have 2 that's going to be like the front of the book, and 1 for the back of the book. So it matches up when you know, open it all the way to the front. You'll see this and this before you actually start going into the book. We are at the next step, and I have already cut this down. This was just some overlap piece. You know, I said to make some extra pieces that we'll cut down to match. So I've got the ribbons laid out flat, and what I'm going to do now is just glue within this center part, because we're going to use, let me grab them, these boards right here. They're going to go right here after we glue this part down and it's glued. So we'll let that glue for most of the day just to make sure it's nice and glued down. So basically, just line this piece up as best as you can. And you'll fold it over here. This is how I like to do it. Just fold it over since you already got it lined up. And then I like to use the PVA glue. And I'll just basically put it right here. Use that same little sponge brush. Oops. And then I'll use the roller once I push it down to roll it flat in place. And then basically we'll just let it sit for a while we will take our bookbinding board and we're going to place it inside. Make sure you put it on the inside the crease so that it'll shut nice. And so basically I've already done the other side, so I'm going to let that side sit and then do this side and then lay it flat and let it sit with the PVA glue. And then once that's done, I'll flip it over. It'll be like this, glued down. And then you just glue this part. We'll flip this over and glue this down. And so then it'll look like this. And then after you've got that, then you'll be able to go ahead and measure this with this to make it completely, you know, inseam and matching. That's why it's always good to have that extra, because you never know. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the book to pretty much that stage. Okay, for step, what, maybe 1,000? Nah, just playing. Yeah, so this next step, I've already trimmed this down. Basically, you just want to trim it down to match the edges. And you're just going to glue it down flat. For this part, you can use either the, I forget the name of it, and I misplaced the lid, the PVA glue. That was my roller. Or the quick grip. I actually like the quick grip because it really sticks tight on here. And I've used both, but the quick grip is really good for this section. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is, so to get to this point, basically, you know, you just take this and you have that extra flap, you know, that you saw in the previous video, and just lay it down where you want it. I usually take a pencil, draw a line, you know, on this part with a pencil. And then you can take your just trusty scissors and cut along the line. Or if you have a leather cutter you could use, or a razor blade. I wouldn't recommend razor blade, just in case you cut yourself. That would be horrible. So yeah, that's the next step. And we are almost to the point where we can punch the holes, add the paper, and then this book is technically done. Until you want to add like a front design or anything. But we will continue on with this project. So we are now at the point of getting our book ready for the 3-hole punch. So if you have a 3-hole puncher like this comes really in handy. It's just a tool that easily you can just place in here. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First, you'll want to get just a sheet. I just use just a regular sheet of paper for this. So I'm not using the good parchment paper. And then you basically just line it up where you want it to go. And then once it's in place, I've already done this part just to make it a little bit easier. I don't like, so I can focus, you know, but I'm just showing you guys. So you'll just put it like a little dot here, little dot there, little dot there. I'm going to take it on this side. Pretty much line it up, do the same thing, dot, dot, dot. Then you've got your pattern there, and then you'll take your handy hole puncher. There's different kinds. Yeah, pieces, you'll get pieces that'll come out of it. And then you'll just stick it in there, push it, of course, and boom, you got a hole punch. For the next part, you'll just get your handy post and stick them on in there. So we'll get, I'm doing 3 on this one. It always depends on what size or how many you want. So I'll be doing 3. So yeah, I'll just take these and just going to stick them in here. Like this. They go in pretty easy. And of course, you know, this is the front because you got your ribbons. And take that off, your little screw. See, it comes in handy because it has these little screw tips. If you need to replace pieces, or I'm sorry, if you need to replace paper or switch pages around, comes in handy. So now we've got the post in. So I won't do this on camera because it'll probably take a bit of time. So we'll just demonstrate with just this sheet of paper. I've got my box of 500 sheets over there of the parchment. So just for an example, you'll just obviously start putting the paper in. And voila, they're in. And then you'll just keep doing that. Once you get it all in, you're going to put them in here. And you'll have some slack, a little bit of slack, because if you measure it out just right, as we've discussed throughout the video, then you'll have a little extra room on the ends. And then, so you'll screw that in, screw in the little things there, close it, fold it, boom. Then your book's ready. So I'm gonna go ahead and move along with these steps here, and I will show you. If there's any other steps, I will show you after I'm done with the paper. Okay, so now that I have all of the paper in the book and the end leaf is set up, I've got it fed through. And so now we will take our screws. And so basically you just take this and twist it on here. Twist them on really well, and then the book will be held tight. So I'm gonna work on that now. And this is how it will look once you have them in place. And then it closes. Go ahead and flip it over. And there's our book. So we will just see how it opens. Opens up very nicely. And like you got plenty of room to write. It'll look about like this. And so, you know, you actually have, if you want to add more pages, you can. That's why it's got that extra room there. So there's how it looks with the ribbons. And so this is the front, and then this is the back. And it just opens like this. And as you can see, it's very thick, very easy to lay flat. Let me turn it like this. Yeah, this is how it looks if you just want to leave it plain. And then, of course, if you have stencils and things, like the Trinquatra, I'm going to place that in the center. So it looks like a charmed book, minus, because that's what the end leaves are. And that is what we are making for this customer. So, yeah. I'll show you how it looks with that design. Okay, everyone, I just wanted to make a video to show the final product. I have finally got the centerpiece glued together and painted. The red was, this part was done, you know, with a stencil and lots of scissor cutting and a lot of work. But yeah, and that is placed on the back. As you can see, it's like the charmed book. And then we just open it like this. Opens up. It's not sitting completely flat right now. Yeah, it goes all the way. And then the back looks like this. And then the screws. There we go. And then the back. So if you want to make one, it'll look like this. Obviously, flip the other way around. So just so you guys know, I do make these books. I custom make these myself. I do sell them. I don't really have an Etsy store or anything like that. I used to. But now I just sell them like through email. If anyone's interested in one of these books and don't want to make one yourself, I know there's a lot of steps to it and a lot of products and things that you have to get to make it. But you could always make it in a different way, your own custom way. But if you were interested in this book, and interested in me making you one, I would be gladly happy to. You can just email me. It's just the ivywynd@gmail.com. So yeah, thank you all for watching so much, and I do wish you well on your adventures in crafting one of these books. If you do craft them, tag me in the video and let me know. I would love to see the results that you come up with, and maybe I can learn some things from you as well. So yeah, thank you all, and blessed be.